While we're at it, since I haven't had a chance to yet, and I'm waiting on parts for this, I'm going to pop the intake air cleaner off on this and try and make room to get to the head bolt. It's got about 150, 200 miles or so on it, I think, now. But I haven't had a chance to go in and retorque those. I like giving them a solid tightening up after you get some miles on there. On the Ironhead, it runs a copper gasket. Well, this one does at least. I think they have paper ones too. I really don't remember off the top of my head, but I ran the copper ones on here. Just snug these down a little bit and try and get it a little more concrete, like I said, on a new motor. Completely brand new everything. The trans is rebuilt, new well, reused pistons, but the bores were in great shape, rehoned everything, cleaned all of that up. So, let's see what we're working with on the inside of this. Tried grabbing all the tools I need. From memory, but I think I forgot a couple. Let's see here, I'm gonna need a 1/2-inch wrench. I'll be right back. So we'll find out in a minute, but Harley's wonderful design. You can get to this bolt, can't get to the other one. So what I usually do on these, when you're running the stock carb at least, take the intake, or air box, take this stud off, leave the bracket on the head, and then on the front one, pull the bracket off of the head and leave the one on the air cleaner. Like so. There's that. Then, what else do I want to take apart on this? Oh, I'm going to have to do push rods. This might turn into a bigger video after all. Air cleaner's off. Push rods are loose. Now I got to drop this in gear and rock it a little bit. Figure out where we're at valve train wise. It's much easier with a kicker. Bottom of the stroke here. Valves seem a little tight actually. Grab a 7/16 wrench as well. Okay. So when you're doing the push rods, there's two parts. It's the same principle for shovel heads and pan heads and pretty much all of these push rod Harley motors. The only variation here is the size of the cups and the size of the push rod seat. Basically, put your wrench on this top one, like so. I'll bring you guys in closer. Alright, Harley push rods. Same thing goes for shovel heads, pan heads, knuckle heads. All of them. Evos are going to be different, but any of the early style ones with the adjustable outers. You have two nuts. You got top push rod cup, which is a 1/2 inch on a sporty, and then the bottom one, which is 7/16. Basically, you're going to put both wrenches on, break them free. I already broke this one apart, but I'll show you guys on the next one. So, if you got paper clips, or laundry clips, clothespins or something, you can put them around here to hold this tube up. It gives you a little bit more room. But I broke it free, so now I'm threading this push rod all the way into the bottom of the lifter. gives me just enough clearance to get these push rods out. Lay them out in the same order you take them out. Makes it a lot easier on you. So there's that one. Let me get the next one out, and then I can get to these head bolts. In order to do that, I got to roll the bike a little bit. I'm going downhill a little, so I'm going to go whichever way is easier. It's easier going backwards than forwards. So now we'll do the rear exhaust. Rear exhaust. The pushrod sleeves tend to stay up a little bit better on Sportsters than they do on big twins. So I'm going to use two wrenches here. Got one on the top, one on the bottom. I'm going to break that bottom nut free, so I'm turning that one to the left, which takes the tension off. That's your lock. So I'm going to thread this all the way up to the top or the bottom of the lifter cup. Then I'm going to twist the entire lifter down. So we're turning this in, threading it into the lifter. Until we have enough room to pull our push rod out. Now the intakes are both going to be closed. So we'll do the rocket back again. This one's coming up. Change this one's down. Moving workbench area. Every time I move the bike, my tools get farther away. This one's down now. Push rod spins freely. This is about where you want your adjustment to be, but we'll go into that in a little while. So 1/2 inch wrench up top, 7/16 on the bottom. Break them free. If you ever hear an Ironhead or aren't familiar with them, or if you just got one and you fire it up and it sounds like a sewing machine going tick, 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 constantly, it's pretty normal. You are running solid lifters on these, which work really well. It's just it makes for a noisier valve train. If it's substantial, then odds are you might need to do a push rod adjustment. If it starts like making more of a knocky noise, anything like that, push rod adjustment is most likely needed. I'm going to thread these all the way down, even though I already got this push rod free, just to give me more room when I go to put them back together. And I'll show you the pile of parts that I got over there going on right now, so I can keep them all organized. Alright, rock it back for the last time, hopefully. It's easier if you're in a higher gear. I'm in second right now. Not fourth, but that's all I needed. So again, 1/2 inch on top, 7/16 on the bottom. Break the bottom free, thread this all the way up. These should never be crazy tight either. I mean, some people hulk them down way more than they need to, but they're constantly oil bathed, so threads are always clean, or should be, unless it's been sitting for an extremely long time. But being in oil, the threads usually work really well. Just want enough tension to lock it so it doesn't adjust itself on you. Thread this all the way down. push rods are out. So that's the entire valve train other than what's in the heads. Here's my tool pile. So basically I just went in order: front exhaust, front intake, rear exhaust, laid them all out where they're supposed to be. Pull the bike back up. All right, we're back in gear now, or back in neutral now. I just rolled it forward. The reason I had to pull the push rods to tighten the heads on this style motor is because on your rocker box, valve cover, Ironhead, whatever you want to call it, you got 12.7/16 bolts for your head bolts. On shovel heads, they come up from the bottom, and you can get to them down here. On iron heads, they are all on the top. So when it's in the frame, there's no way to get sockets or wrenches in here onto these head bolts. So if you pull the push rods, you can get a 7/16 wrench on here and torque them down. So what do I need here? They actually feel pretty tight, so that's good. I'll grab a bar or a pipe. Let's see if it's fit over the wrench. Oh, perfect. Hopefully I don't knock you guys over in the course of doing this, but these feel pretty snug, so I'm not going to go too crazy. But like I said, fresh motor, I usually try and do this one within 50, 60 miles. Just to make sure they stay torqued down like they're supposed to. While I'm in here, I'm actually going to pull this carb apart too, just because I can see it dripping. I couldn't see it underneath the air cleaner. But now that everything's apart, I can see more problems. Not a ton, but enough. A couple drops here and there. I'd like to just alleviate all of that. If you guys saw in the video at the beginning of this, there's like a yellowish color all over this thing that I hit with brake clean, cleaned it all up. That would be why. Snug this up just a hair more. Alright, so the heads are tight. We're good in that sense, but you can see a little bit of gas dripping down here. That's what this discoloration is from gas. Something's leaking down by the accelerator pump, maybe? I'm gonna yank the carb apart while I'm already this far into it. Just give that a quick sprucening up. I can't tell exactly where it's leaking. It's not the overflow. It looks like it might just be one of these accelerator pump screws, maybe. Or the needle's sticking a little bit, one of the two. But I went through and dialed this whole carb in the beginning of the year. Bike runs great, absolutely great. Pulls super hard, runs strong. Deleted all the emissions crap on for an 81. It would have been all EPA compliant. We went back to an older set of P-cams and got everything running and functioning proper. So let me take a look here. Got some oil dripping here from pulling the push rod, which is normal, that I can deal with. But let me yank this carb off.